Yes, Islam. I'm actually playing a recording of some Tibetan healing sounds, singing bowls, and there's some natural sounds. Gold for meditation and relaxation is what it's entitled. And so everybody can just at their own comfort level, if you can take a nice deep breath, inhale, and on your exhale, and just continue at your pace and your comfort, and just chime in when you're ready.
Hey, Michael.
Here's Louis Ande up from the Bay, New Jersey territory.
What is the matter?
Amar QL.
Wow, I'm getting chills. I don't know about anybody else, but wow, I'm feeling chills.
Beautiful, beautiful.
It's really feel the vibration.
Islam. Wow.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay.
Oh, how wonderful and beautiful it is.
Yes, go ahead, Empress Nalo.
I say, oh, how wonderful and beautiful it is for brethren to dwell together in unity.
Yes. Yes. Islam. Okay, I'm going to, if you all will star 6 and mute so that we can get started. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. I love that meditation. I love the Om. It synchronizes us with that from which we came, the earth. It's really, whenever we do that, it's really difficult for me not to cry because it feels so good. It feels like what we should be doing. Very peaceful. You know, very, that is natural. It feels natural. So, Empress Melo, she said in the chat she's a squash too. Yes, I do. When I feel the ancestors and the frequencies and the energy coming through, I turn into a mushy ball of tears because it's so beautiful. It's very beautiful. It's
Angela Smith Bay, Florida Territory.
Welcome, Empress. Welcome,
Thank
welcome,
you.
welcome. We'll give it another minute or two. I love the Om. Thank you so much. Just to share more.
Islam.
We'll give it just a minute or two. Islam.
Gregory Tariq.
Welcome. Come on in.
Gregory Tariq Bay, North Carolina Territory.
Grand Rising.
Girl Rising.
Islam. Okay. We'll go ahead and get started. The first thing I wanted to briefly mention tonight, and maybe not even briefly, because we could talk about this all day, but many of us, and this is appropriate for the heirs. Many of us are being tested in one way or another, and that's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. We're being tested to know so that we know. Because, see, the ancestors already know we're fit to govern. But we have to know through our testing that we're fit to govern. Okay? And that's what testing is for, is so that we prove to ourselves, not to anyone else, but to ourselves, that we are fit to govern this vast, wealthy estate. Okay? That is what this is all about. So we should not, and I won't say it that way, let's put that a different way. Testing is proof. When we're tested, it's proof that our ancestors know who we are, they know we're here, and they know that we're able to pass the test. Okay? They know we're able to pass the test. So they test us because we are the heirs. We are to be tested, okay? And if you have a little bit of noise going on in your background, if you'll go ahead and mute. Star 6 is mute. And if it gets to be a little too much, then I'll mute as well. And then at any time, you can star 6 to unmute, okay? I'll go ahead and mute wherever there's noise coming from. Okay, but the reason that we are presented with tests is because the ancestors know that it's time for us to be tested, because the estate is here. It's already here. It's already waiting for the heirs. And it's time for us to go ahead and be tested. You know, it's time. And testing is not a bad thing. Testing comes in many forms. Yes. Let me see if there's a way for me to make it a little bit louder. Okay, is this better? Is that better? Hopefully that's a little bit louder. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
And clearer.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So the reason that we are tested, and testing again is not a bad thing. Some of us were tested right out the gate. Like when I nationalized in 2017. And woke up to who I was 5 months later. 5 months later, I was tested. Tested being I was pulled over, and that wasn't the first time I was pulled over. I was pulled over several times prior to that because I have Moorish plates on my van. And I was pulled over. And then in December of 2017, I was detained for 25 days, somewhere around there, 24, 25 days. And that was not, that's not a bad thing, okay? And I'm,
You got kicked out, sis.
Islam. Okay. Yes, I'm here. I'm here. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Yes.
We can hear you.
Yes. So when I was detained in 2017, that was the ancestors saying, I think my daughter is ready. I think she's ready. You know, and as it turns out, I was ready. And many of you have been that same test has been presented to many of you, and you stand. You stand on your square. You don't give in. No matter what, you're not going to give in. No matter what, you're not going to acquiesce. You're going to stand on your square and be who you really are, no matter what they offer, because, see, they don't have the authority to offer you anything, really. They don't have the authority to offer you anything. And when we're tested and they say, well, you know, we'll give you this or we'll give you that, we can easily say, you don't have the authority to give anything because you don't own anything. You don't have anything to give, you see. And so many of us have been tested that way, and some of us get upset about that testing, but some of us know that when we have a sense of peace in the testing, no matter what the test is, because not all Moors are going to be tested by a jail or whatever. Moors are going to be tested in different ways. Some are tested with foreclosures. Some are tested with, and a foreclosure, we know that's fraud. We know that any time we are tested in that manner, that when we stand, then we don't have to deal with that test anymore. I've not had to deal with going to jail anymore since that time in 2017. It went from 2017, from December 10, 2017 until January 4, 2018. And so when we pass that test, we don't have to deal with that test anymore. All we have to do is continue to stand the way that we stood then. And so when you're tested that way more, and this is just a suggestion because you can't tell the sovereign what to do. No one can tell the sovereign what to do, okay? When you are tested in that manner, let me see where that is coming from. Coming from here. And just a moment. When you are tested in that manner, don't look at it as a bad thing, okay? Don't look at it as a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Have as much peace as you can pull into your circumference, into your system. during the testing. And that's any testing. Okay? That's any testing. When you are tested, no matter what it is, the real test is not jail or foreclosures or other things like that. That's not even the real test. The real test, just a moment. The real test is how you respond to that test. Just a moment. Okay. The real test is how you respond to the testing, no matter what it is. That's the real test. The real test is, are you going to resist and fight? Because we're not at war with anybody, okay? And the sooner we gain peace in the testing, okay, the sooner the test will end. We are peace. So the sooner we gain peace in the testing will end. This too shall pass, no matter what the test is. Our ancestors do not miss. They do not make mistakes at all. They know exactly what they're doing. When I was detained in 2017, I was supposed to be there. I was supposed to be there. Because the ancestors needed to see if I was going to fold and do whatever they wanted me to do. Or was I going to stand in my sovereign status and never, ever, ever be who they pretended that I was? And so after 25 days, the testing ended. And when the testing ended, it didn't really, some other things followed. For example, once I got out, they sent war rants to war rants. It's a war rant, okay, to see if I was going to war back. War rants to the mailing location. And they didn't even send it to the mailing location. They sent it to an address, and we don't have addresses. So we rebutted that like we're supposed to. And since that time, I'm telling you, once we pass the test, we don't have to go through that test anymore. So if you are tested that way, in any way, okay, pass the test so you don't have to keep going through it. Stand. Be yourself. And that's just a suggestion because you can't tell sovereigns what to do. But I'm just saying, yes, okay, in the chat, Empress Jonaya says it would be a good idea to share our testing in the present. What's happening now and recently? Yes. Empress Jonaya, do you want to share some testing? Because that's
well,
really what this call is all about.
Since I put it there, just wanting to get a little bit more interaction because I'm sure that everyone on the call has testing and sometimes maybe they don't recognize it as a testing. But as you were speaking, it brought to mind what had happened recently where I felt it was a testing or maybe say was a lesson, was something that I learned as part of our process of learning to stand on our square, learning to know who we are. Mm-hmm. And that was, I don't go out very often. I go out maybe about once a week, but it's always been there. It's not because of the sign, you know, covering your face and all that. But so now when I go out, of course, you know, I'm confronted with people running around with masks on their face, and I don't wear one. And I've gone into the stores, the venues, and everything, and up until I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday when they put up new signs demanding that everyone had to wear one. See, before it was like they gave you a choice, but now they're demanding. So I said, oh, okay, I'll see what happens. so I went into the store. Actually, it was the post office was the first one because I had to go in. So I went in, and oh my goodness, the guy, he right away, he says, you can't come in here like that. And I said, I'm not a U.S. citizen. And then he kind of came down. He says, well, you stay back. He said, you stay back over that way. So I said, okay. So he went and got my mailings because I get general delivering, which is something I was just testing out to see how that works. But he went and got my mailings and handed it to me, and I didn't say anything else. You know, that was enough, and I just went on. So then the next place I went into, the lady at the cash register, it was at a store, a small at a town, and I was checking out, and she says, you know, you're supposed to have a mask. And I said, no, I'm not. I said, I'm not a U.S. citizen. That's for corporate people. And also, it's against my religious beliefs. And she says, oh, well, make sure you let us know when you walk in the store. I said, oh, okay, then no problem. I'll let you know. So, but there were two other ones. But basically, that's kind of what I was running into. And when you speak up, instead of just accepting, you know, them telling us that, you know, you can't come in here without a mask, you address the issue. You're like, hey, why not? You know, I'm not a part of that. And so that's what I learned, and to me that was a lesson for me. Okay. So I thought I feel good about it. I yield.
Islam, beautiful. I'm glad you brought that up. Go ahead, Justice.
Islam.
Yes.
I don't know, she must have been following me yesterday because I had a similar experience in the post office. Similar, but I walk in and there's a line and people coming in and stuff is good. And no, they know I always walk in and I'm not going to wear a mask, so they don't even say anything to me. But I see all these people masked up and they all look so I turned around and I started talking to them. I said, why are you people wearing masks? Don't you know that when you're wearing the mask, it's actually helping to get you sick? And I'll tell you why. Because you're trapping all the carbon dioxide you're trying to breathe out and rebreathing it with the already dirty air that's around you. So you might want to think about that. Several of them said, And then I shut up and I just kept looking at them. When I got up to the counter finally, the clerk who was there just looked at me and started smiling and how you doing? And I went and stood in front of the place where you're supposed to push the parcels in, and he didn't say anything. So after a while I said, I just realized I'm standing in front of this place and I should be behind the glass because you don't want to catch something. So I moved, and everybody in the post office was looking at me. And of course, I didn't have my badge on. I had my hat on, and so they're all looking at me. And I just left and went about my business. But I just thought that we both had post office experiences, so wanted to bring that up.
Yeah.
Islam.
Yes, Islam.
Islam.
I had the same experience, except I was at Costco. And I went to the door, and anyone who knows about Costco knows that they're handing out masks at the door. And I just told them, we don't wear masks. And they didn't question. The guy took like 2 giant steps back from me, you know, and he had on a mask. And I'm thinking, well, if your mask really works, you don't have to stand that far back. But okay, I want you to stand that far back, you know. And I went in, and I was the only one in there out of hundreds of people who did not have a mask on. I was the only one.
Yep.
The
It's
only
amazing
one.
how the chattel operates.
I thought,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, to me it's an
I
opportunity.
was really amazed.
Yeah. It's really an opportunity to help wake them up, to let them know, letting people know that they don't have to be sheep, you know.
Be yourself.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. They didn't even, you know, there was no pushback or anything because they know we don't wear masks. And, you know, as I stated before, anytime I go out, I'm usually in my turban and I have my flags on, either on my turban up at the top or somewhere on me where you can see, you know, but we don't, from my perspective, I don't wear masks, you know. Why would I wear a mask over a sovereign faith? You know, when I'm you know, we're giving the law 24/7. We are the law. So why would the law cover their faces? Why? And so that was just, I was just amazed at how many of them felt the need to do that.
But the other thing you notice is the fear. You know, when they're just to look at you, when they look at you, and you know, you can see the fear that they don't want to approach you, but still they do because that's what they've been told to do. But there's a lot of fear out there now. A lot.
Islam?
Yeah.
Islam. Yeah, this is Melo. Mine was similar, but it was not about the mask because I don't wear a mask. I hadn't been in the post office for a long time, so I didn't know how they had set things up. I try not to go in there anyway, but someone sent me, you know, a package, and I guess they sent it. You have to pick it up certified mail. I guess when they said it's a certain amount, they send it. So I had to go there and sign. When I went in there, I tried to get there early, but, you know, my daughter took me early. First one in line, so I wouldn't bother anyone. And they had the glass up there. I didn't know they had put that up there. And I just, you know, I wasn't paying too much attention. It's just that when she said, okay, you're first in line, come. And I went there. I went up to the glass, and she stepped back. And I just pushed the certified mail slips and the ID under there to her. And then she said, she said, I can't come up to the glass unless you move back. And so, and I was kind of like, wow. And so I said, well, can you get someone to just, because usually they'll have somebody that takes the slips and will go, you know, you don't have to stand in line. They'll take the slips and bring your package to you. And that's what I was saying to her. I have no idea what she said to the supervisor when she went back there. But the supervisor came back, and she was angry. But I couldn't. I have a hearing impairment, but my hearing impairment is certain syllables and F's and differentiating. The people who are not articulating and enunciating their words, sometimes I have a hard time understanding what they're saying. And when they have a mask on, it's even more difficult. So when she was saying something to me, and I said, well, I don't understand. I can't hear what you're saying. Then she got loud, and she said, well, if you're not going to cooperate, I'm going to call the police. I was like, wow. And so I thought, oh my goodness. Okay. So I was going to wait for the police, but the other person that was waiting on me, she just said, well, she said there's a yellow line behind you, and I didn't know that. And I said, okay, well, I'll stand behind the yellow line. So she ran to tell the supervisor that I guess it was okay to have to call the police now. But anyway, so and then she came back, and it was so ridiculous. It's because she had to step back while I come up to the counter and sign. Then I had to step back when she comes back, and this is back and forth. And then when she had the package, I said, well, you want to throw it to me? She said, no. And so, but it's so ridiculous. And now I understand. Now I see why the lines are long and it takes so long for everybody to do everything. I didn't know that because I just saw, wow, there were people that were in line of, after me. But, I left out of there. So, but I'll let my daughter tell you about her experience when she gets off at 5 o'clock and we're still on. But she told. Oh. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Can you hear me? Okay.
Maylo, we can. You're going in and out.
Oh, can you hear me?
Hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. No problem.
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we hear you.
Yes.
Okay, I think it was just my. Okay. But I'll let my daughter tell you her experience.
We can't hear you. Okay. We can't hear you.
Okay.
When she comes back, we'll hear the remainder of what she's saying.
Welcome, and thank you for choosing freeconferencecall.com.
As you can see,
communicate for free.
Everyone on our land right now, many, not everyone because we're not, but many of the people on our land are frightened for no reason.
You got to mute that speaker.
Echo somewhere, y'all.
Islam, can I interject? This is Valerie Barker Bay, and I've been hearing on the news where African Americans and Hispanics have COVID-19 at record numbers. That's what they're scared of. I've noticed that every time I go somewhere without my mask, that they are trying to stand off.
Why don't you get somewhere with that stupid mess? We didn't ask you to come on this site for that craziness. You understand that? Find y'all something to play with. We're not nothing to play with. Do you understand that? We appreciate you for coming on and listening, but be in respect. We ain't
Islam, who is speaking? Islam.
Don't worry about who is speaking. You need to get off of this line.
Interesting.
Did the light get kicked off?
Sorry, my sister. I thought it was that Albion that came in the other day. I'm sorry. This is not Bay. I apologize for that, my sister.
Oh, it wasn't me that was
story
speaking.
here. I don't understand what happened. Islam.
Whene Bay from Dakota Territories.
I was just saying what the news was saying about the African Americans and Hispanics having record numbers of COVID-19. We know it's a story, but the people in general believe that, and that's why they want to stand off more.
We don't follow that, sister. I'm sorry. We don't listen to all that gossip that they do.
Yes, we are listening to it.
This is Tiger. This is Tiger. In 1984, I had a collapse right lung. Early in February, they were talking about people having mucus in the lungs. Well, I had one back in 1984, and I had to go to the hospital. What happened was I was given erythromycin. That's a strong antibiotic by, intravenous. And in less than a week and a half, I was healed. The mucus was dried up. Now, they said this past February and March that you get that COVID-19. It's called COVID-19. No, it's not. That's pneumonia. And they're not treating people on purpose. And they're doing that so you die so that they can point to the COVID-19 and patent the virus. And as you know, we already figured out it was actual bacteria that becomes the virus in the body. So they've been scamming, trying to make it so they can get everybody all sick and fearful. The sphere breaks down your body, and the CO2 breaks down your body. And what happens is you become weakened, and you start hearing and being accepting what you're hearing and being mobilized toward the vaccine, which will kill you. And the objective is to knock out 95% of the population, specifically indigenous populations on the earth. So I'm telling you from living proof that I recovered from an actual antibiotic called erythromycin, that they're not doing it on purpose. They're killing people. This is real. So everybody needs to, if you got people telling you that this is that COVID-19 is real. I'm sorry, am I offending anybody? I'm just saying it's.
Islam, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right.
I wanted to ask you what Isaiah was saying, because it is important to know that this is not real, because situation with my sister where what they're doing is they're covering, or they're saying or reporting that whoever dies, whether it's the Moors or a dark-skinned person or any Asiatics die, they label them as being dying from COVID-19. And I have proof of that, because my sister's, when her husband passed away, they had put it on the record that he had died from COVID-19. But she rebutted it because she knew he had the cancer before COVID-19 came out. So it didn't have anything to do with that. So that's something to keep in mind, is to check the records if it's somebody that you know. And the other thing is just not go into their venue for a remedy. We have to create our own remedy. Yes.
That is very important. That's very important. Their venues, no matter what the venue is incompetent. I'm going to say that again so that we can make sure that it is on the record. I'm saying that all of their venues are incompetent when it comes to the heirs. All of them. Their court venues, corporate court venues, which are not real courts, they're corporations doing commerce, and they're not even doing that anymore. So let's make sure that we're not giving them any consent to continue the madness. It's over. Stop it. All of their venues are unlawful. They're incompetent. They're for animals and not for the heirs. Okay? They're for animals and not for the heirs. Okay.
But Islam,
we want to be
that is
sure
totally
that
correct.
Yes.
Islam.
Yes. Go ahead, Justice Gilmore.
I was just supporting that by saying, yes, they are for animals. That is why the people are called chattel, because they're cattle, and that is what they're being treated as. And as long as they follow a shepherd or a herder, they will be treated that way. That's why we must stand up, we must speak up every time we see it, because if we do not, then we are, in fact, a part of the problem. Islam.
Yes.
Islam, this is Pandoria.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, go ahead, Empress.
Yes, how are you today?
Empress
Hello?
Pandoria, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just want to give my quick one that happened 2 weeks ago. It was on a Wednesday. I had just got finished listening to Light speak on my on the video, and something said, write down what she says. So I wrote it down. 30 minutes later, I ended up having to use it because the FBI came to my door in South Carolina talking about they had to come get me because Ohio said that I was a fugitive. And I said, a fugitive on my own land and here in America? Are you serious? And they went on ahead and took me in. And then I went on ahead and stood my square right before the cops. I even videotaped it. And next thing I know, they told me I would be in there for 21 plus days, and then Ohio was going to come and get me and take me back to Ohio. And I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. But I went on ahead and went to the see the closed circuit TV judge. And as he was asking the question, I stood my square, and then he asked the question about, you know, where you have that yes or the no answer, no matter which way you answer it, they got you. And so I went on ahead, opened my mouth, and said, you know, I am not ignorant of the supreme law of the land, of the Constitution of the land. And he said, put down there, she refused. And then when I kept talking, saying that I am Vendoria, a Gold Bay, Vendoria McLean, in capitis, the Minutio Nolo, and I was trying to remember everything I had just learned 30 minutes before they got there to the house. The next thing I know, the judge, closed circuit TV judge, he looked at the deputy and said, is this some kind of a sovereign thing? And then the deputy said, sorry, sir, we didn't know. And then he hit the gravel, and they made a charge. They charged me anyway. And then I left, and I said, you will not get a penny out of me. And then they took me back to my cell, left me there for a long time. My body started hurting. Then next thing you know, they went on ahead and put me in jail because I did not get their $1,000 bond. I didn't agree to do it. I said, nope, I'll stay here before I have to give you any finances. Next thing I know, I was out after I got finished demanding, making them, asking them questions like, did you swear on oath to uphold the laws of the Constitution? And they was like, yes, I did, like in an authoritarian manner. And they stood erect when I asked them questions like that. And I said, why aren't you doing it? So I guess they got tired of me commanding them how I want my sheets done. They want you to do everything yourself, and I told them, no, this is how I want it done. And, of course, I end up doing it the way they say to do it because I'm supposed to be in jail, and it's not supposed to be comfortable for me, right? So next thing I know, they said 2 nights later, they said, we need to move you to a different area. I said, oh, okay. Well, leave that sheet there on that cot. And I was commanding things like I think I was supposed to do simply because I know that I was the authority, even though I had the orange jumpsuit on. The next thing I know, I walked outside of the cell and went up to the desk. She said, you will be leaving. I said, leaving to go where? She said, you're going outside. You're going to leave from out of jail. I said, oh, I'm not going to a different pod or a different area like you said. She said, you're going to a different area but out the door.
I'm laughing because she told me the story, and we had a great laugh about that, about them saying she was going to be in there 20-something days or whatever. They were like, get her out of here. Please get her out of here. Yeah. She stood on her square and was at peace, and boom.
Wow. And then I asked him, I said, what about the $1,000 bond you said I owe? He looked on the computer. He said, I don't see it on here. You don't owe it. I said, do I have to come back for another court date? No, I don't see that either. I said, oh, okay. It looks like I'm actually leaving out of here. And I'm never coming back. They had fingerprinted they didn't fingerprint just my thumb and left it at that. They fingerprinted my whole entire hand. I said, oh, my gosh, I'm back in the system again. I started getting really worried and getting scared again, like I did something wrong. And thank heavens, Empress Light was there to talk to me, to talk some sense about what just happened to me. And then I felt a whole lot better about everything that happened. So I yield.
Islam.
Wow. Islam.
Listen. she sent me a video, and that's why I'm cracking up, because we laughed. She had me under the table laughing, telling me the story about what happened to her once she got out. She was only in there like 2 days, something like that, and they would, they was like, please, just get the Empress out of here. We don't want nothing to do with these Moors. But she sent me the video of of when they came in the door, and they didn't kick the door in or anything. The door was open, and that's she did the right thing, I think, in terms of making sure that everything was okay with that. And in the video, you can look at the energy of the guy who came in pretending to be law enforcement. And as she was saying what she was saying, you could see the fear on his face.
Islam?
And so, Islam.
Just to bring something to mind, do you know why they have the fear on their face? We think we are thinking that they're fearful because they might get caught doing something. The fact is, they are fearful that something might happen to them right then, like they might fall over dead or something. That is what they're fearful of. That is why they bring 8 or 9 of them when they come around any of us, and they think they can take a shot at us. And those 8 or 9 are circle that
that's
they're
not
bringing.
a good choice of words, Justice Jermore. A shot is not a good choice of words. They're not going to shoot anybody.
No, I didn't say a shot. No. They are taking, they are thinking that we're going to do something to them. And that is why they're acting that way, because they're scared and they've been ordered to do certain things, and they're going again with 2 or 3 masters guiding them and telling them what to do, but those masters won't come out there themselves, because they know the moment they come out, game's over. So
it's a wrap.
They asked. I opened the door because I didn't want them to bust my door down, because it was not my house. That's the only reason why I opened the door, because it was not my house. And they asked me, did I have any weapons? They asked me, did I have any weapons in my hand? And I held out my hand. I had my medicine in one hand for a spider bite that it was prescribed for, and then the other hand I had what was that called? Yogurt, a thing of yogurt, and they took the yogurt out my hand and threw it in the living room. That's how come I didn't want them in there, because I know they're destructive when they act like that. They get act very destructive, and that's why I don't want them in my in the house. I tried to push the door open and run outside, and they would not let me run outside. They pushed me back into the house, and I was like, I don't want you in here. It doesn't look good for 5 men to be in here and with one woman. That just don't look right. I need to be outside, and I want them to do everything they need to do outside, since they had to have me. And they would not. They commanded to come in, and I'm commanding them to stay out. And I'll meet you outside. I'll lock the door. I'll do everything, but they would not let me do that. So I didn't want any family members to know about it, because I didn't want them to come up with $1,000 bond to pay for me to get out. I said, I hope they never find out about it, because I know them. They will try to come up, figure out how to come up with the money. And when I came back 2 days later, I came back to the house, and my cousin told me everybody know about it from New York. They know about it. I'm like, what? How did they know about it? And they said the video. People was out there video everything. They videotaped everything and sent it to my cousin, and she received all the videos, every last one of them. And so she sent them, and everybody found out about it that way anyway. So I told them, well, I'm so glad they did not come up with $1,000 to get me out, because I would have been highly upset.
I told my consort when in 2017. I told my consort don't even think about paying a bail, because that's not even. I told him that on the phone. Don't even think about it. And guess what he said? Well, I wasn't gonna pay it anyway because I ain't have it. I was like, okay, good. I gotta stand on my square now. You know. Empress Vandoria, thank you for telling that, because I don't like I mean, sometimes I tell other people's stories because they're so awesome. Yours was awesome too, especially, you know, them saying, this must be some sovereign thing, and them saying, we didn't know. We didn't know. Because had we known, we wouldn't have bothered her. That's the thing. Our ancestors, like Justice Apollo said in the chat, our ancestors are sensitive about us. They're not going to let anything happen to us when we stand on our square and we cut those corporate contracts off like we've done, and we do what we're supposed to do in terms of being in honor. Our ancestors are not going to let anybody mess with us while we do their work, the work that they sent us here to do. So, you know, we don't. That's some stuff we don't even have to worry about. But in the interim, Moors are going to be tested that way to see if you stand like Empress Vandoria did. You got to stand, no matter what they say, no matter, because they're going to cast those little spells of you're gonna be here for 3 years, you're gonna be here for whatever. No, I'm going to be here until my ancestors open the door and say it's time to go. And if that's today, tomorrow, or whatever it is, I'm going to be here in my proper person, period. Period. Ain't even thinking about being your citizen. Not going to ever be that. And so that's all we have to do, stand, no matter what, stand. I've noticed that if we give off any energy like we're in a hurry to get out of the test, or we're in a hurry to get out, or whatever, then the test seems to last a little longer until we are at peace. And once we reach that place of peace, then the ancestors the test it'll be over. As soon as we have peace, the ancestors will end the test. That's how it works. But if we're sitting up warring throughout the whole test, like we don't deserve to be there because we're the heirs. It's not that. That's not the energy. That's not the energy that's going to assist us. That energy is destructive when you use that kind of energy. But the energy of no matter what you all say or do, I'm at peace here because I already know my ancestors are right here with me, right here in this test. And I'm at peace, and you all are going to be at peace too. And now it looks like all over the land people are afraid. They're afraid. Okay, we must be the peace that they seek. We have to actually be it. No matter what happens, we have to be the peace. Okay? And when they see that peace, with that peace comes trust. Okay? And I'm muting some because there's a little bit of a noise coming from some of the lines, so I mute them. And then you can star 6 to unmute yourself at any time if you want to say something. But we have to be the peace on our land, because this land belongs to the heirs, period. Okay? And it's our job. We're the law, we're the government, we're the peace, we're the love, we're the freedom, we're the justice, we're the truth. And that's what this is all about, is no matter what the test is, we have to be those things, the 5 points of light, plus 2. We have to be that. I'm loving watching this unfold that our ancestors are doing. I'm loving watching it unfold because They know what they're doing. When you watch the ancestors work, they know what they're doing. And the thing is, the ancestors work through us, through all of us. We are the ancestors returned. So all that's being done is being done through the heirs. And that's what makes it so beautiful.
Through the Allahs. All the walking Allahs.
Yes. Yes. Islam. All of the Allahs. That is Allah. Thank you for that, Justice Moore. That's the truth. Each and every one of us is Allah, manifested in the flesh. And to me, that's priceless. It's priceless. And so now is the time for the heirs to stand in their sovereign status, in our sovereign status, and be ourselves through all of this. It seems like it's chaotic, but when you know what to look for, you already know that the chaos is only being created as a distraction to make the transition be what it should be. The transition has already happened. Islam, Justice, you were going to say something.
Islam, I just wanted to ask how has it been going with everybody repossessing their property and repossessing their estate, etc.?
I couldn't hear you. Could you repeat it? Because it was a little bit distorted.
I said, demonstrations for repossessing their property.
I think what I heard was how our people do. It's still distorted. We still could not understand. But what I did hear was something about repossession of property. Is that correct? What I heard? If you're asking, yes, I can hear you, Justice Jemai.
Yes, that's what he was saying. He wants to know how things are going with repossession of properties. And I thought maybe it was a good idea to share some information about what the meeting was going to be about a couple of weeks ago. I yield.
Which meeting, Empress Jemai?
Well, a process where there's parts missing to our process, and so we're going to have to do some things and I guess go over how to sharpen our skills as far as doing research and how to do administrative processes, getting your notices out, information like that, and actually putting the lien into what's the word?
Okay. Is there anyone who wants to share their Is there anyone who wants to share their experiences? Islam.
No, really quick, I was just asking that question because I read that great affidavit put on the public record by Empress Malo, where she was repossessing property in Arizona territory for the homeless. So if he's still listening, just how that has been going, or
Islam, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Empress.
Yes, this is Malo. He asked that question. I'm just scheduling the court action for Thursday. So I haven't done anything else yet. Okay, so I have a lot of things that I'm doing. I'm putting in place. I did send that out, but I have like maybe 17, 18 different entities with the state of Arizona and with the county and with the city that I'm sending out, and they haven't responded. Which most of the time they don't, to what I put out for the instructions and the commands. The city did send out something.
Hold on.
The city did. Okay.
Go ahead, Empress. Go ahead.
The city did send out an email instructing everyone to wear a mask. Then they sent out another one saying that if you had an ADA, American with Disabilities Act issue, then you were not required to. But as far as anything else, nobody has addressed anything. But it's not for them to address anything. It's for me to do. So I'm waiting to do my court action, and I will send them another affidavit communication letting them know. And I'm not saying what I'm going to do right now, because I'm always every day my time, like Michelle with the chakras and everything, and my time with the ancestors, and I spend, so then I know what action to take from day to day. So I can't really tell you what I'm going to do. I just know that I'm going to be in the right place, in the right time, and say and do how I'm led. And then hopefully the next time we talk, whether it's next week or whatever, I'll be able to give you some results from what I've actually done. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to evade the question and go around in circles, but that's where it stands right now. Like I just wanted to basically say that it's not up to them. I'm not concerned about what they're doing. Okay, I'm the one that has to take the action, and I know that I'm kind of like a catalyst in a sense, and I'm trying to set an example so that more of us in Arizona and in the other territories will do the same thing. Just like Light has set the example for a lot of us to do the same things, and the more of us that do this, okay. And we're moving forward. We were talking about in Wilton's court action today. One of our empresses, she a little shy, and she said, some of us we stand on the sideline and we wait. And a lot of times you're waiting to see what others' results are. And I'll say this, and I love her dearly, and she knows she's not on the call right now. She's at work. But my daughter is like that. We kind of sit back and wait. Well, okay, I get that. And, we have to do everything in our own time. But not wait for the results. Sometimes the ancestors and the universe is waiting for you. You're the one. You might be that one key individual that takes that step, and then it sets off a chain reaction for other things. So anyway, I yield.
Pure truth. That's pure truth, Empress. Pure truth. Pure truth.
Islam.
The ancestors and the listen, they're waiting for each of us to move on forward. Yeah. They're waiting on us.
Right.
So if we all sit around waiting for somebody else to do something, okay, then nobody's going to do anything. Okay?
Islam?
Let's see. I'm going to, hold on for just a moment. I'm going to mute the meeting and then unmute it, because it seems like some people are having problems unmuting.
Finish cooking now.
Let me just try. Yeah, let me just try. Let me do that right. Okay, the whole meeting is unmuted. Yes, we can hear you. Okay. And then, hold on for just a moment. Okay. Go ahead, Justice Annika.
Islam, I'm with you, Justice Melo, when you say take action, because you asked me earlier, you emailed me earlier, and you were asking me about how my repo is going with my court action. And just to kind of share with everybody else, I was telling her that I'm at this point kind of in a place where I'm struggling on what to do next, because I issued the command for arrest and that's not really showing any results. So
with that being said, the reason I said I'm with you when you said let's take action, because I saw a video on, I think it was on Facebook a couple of days ago. You guys might have saw it. It was an actual citizen's arrest here in Texas. Has anybody seen that?
No.
Anyone? No? Okay, well, it was an actual citizen's arrest. Now, I know that we are not citizens, but my mind and my soul is telling me that if the citizens have the authority to make an arrest, then we sure as sovereigns have the authority to make the arrest. So I don't know if anybody has had success with the command to arrest yet. Has anybody had any arrests made on the?
I have.
You have.
I have.
Okay, so
I have. There was a fake.
I'm trying to figure out what I did wrong. Go ahead.
It's not that you did anything wrong. Whenever there is an arrest command sent out, it's like any other quote unquote war rent. They may not get them that day, but they're going to get them at some point. Okay? It may not happen that day. It may not happen that month, but they're going to arrest them at some point. Okay? So to expect it to happen the same day is right. In some cases it does, and in some cases it doesn't. Okay? The one here happened, it took about a month and a half, something like that. And the thing that the fake judge was arrested for, or not arrested, but moved from her position for, I still don't know why. Well, I know it was because of what we did, but I can't point to it and say this is why she's no longer a judge in their system. I can point to my command and know why she's no longer there, because that's the command that was given. Okay. So. Okay.
So,
you didn't do anything wrong. You can't do anything wrong when you are standing on your square and doing what you're supposed to do in terms of your nationality. There's no wrong move there. No wrong move.
Islam.
And also, yes, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you know, she talked when she was mentioning the arrest warrant. You know that Iran issued a warrant arrest for Trump. Okay.
Yes, they did.
So
yes.
Okay.
Yes,
so I just put that out there. Okay.
I was just thinking,
well, you know that's what I'm saying.
Like Giamore was saying, they bring like 8 or 9, and hey, I have 8 or 9 militant men ready to go make an arrest right now. I don't have to wait for the provost marshal. Do you see what I'm saying? If we have our own men,
I see what you're saying.
The same as them. We can go make our own arrest.
We're getting there, Empress. We're getting there.
Let me say this.
Islam.
Let me say this. Let me say this about that.
We're there.
Let me say this about that. Let me say this about that, Empress. The things that we're doing will not require that. Okay, and this is what I'm seeing. We're not going to have to do anything by that type of force. All we do is issue the command. Now, some will disagree and they want to arm up and get guns and do all of this and that. We're peace. We don't have to do that. We really don't. We don't have to do that because that's what they do. They do things at gunpoint. We don't ever have to do anything at gunpoint. We don't have to do anything like that. And in fact, we shouldn't be doing anything like that. Okay? That's the kind of stuff they want us to do. Okay? But when we give a command, the command is to be honored. Has been and always will be. Now, for example, you brought up, Trump was brought up. I don't have to worry about whether court actions are going to be, if the commands are going to happen or not. I don't worry about it. I know they are. How they happen is up to the ancestors. We've already issued the command, the arrest command. How that happens is up to the ancestors. I don't worry about it, and I'm not going to have anybody go and try and arrest anybody. We shouldn't do that. We should issue the command and then let the ancestors do the job. We're not to get our hands dirty like that. We're not to get our hands dirty like that. Don't ever get your hands dirty like that.
Islam, Empress, and I needed to hear that because I was getting to a point of impatience, just a little bit.
Right.
But
that's the test, Empress.
I did need to hear that. That's the test. And like you said, how you respond is the test.
Yes. Yes.
Right. Islam. And I do have one more question. It is a little bit of a switch of topic on our credit instrument. On the credit instrument, I was asking actually Justice Knowe, where is the actual gold that is backed by? Where is that physically? That is in the land, or is there somewhere that we can actually retrieve that? I'm not.
Yes, it's in the land, on the land. Yes, it's on the land. And then remember, you are the actual gold and silver and all of that. We are the bank. We are the estate. Know that. That's why they needed signatures everywhere. We're so valuable. That's why they kept needing signatures. Think about that. Think about that.
Islam.
We are the value. We're the heirs for a reason.
Islam, and just to not to cut you off, Empress Light, but
Islam
for those types of demonstrations, when you're dealing with commerce, don't forget about the periodic table of elements that we've already activated, and just make sure you say something about that in your affidavit as well, because what we're saying with that, as far as my own understanding, is that the rare earth minerals that flows through the sovereign blood has elements in it that actually enables this whole thing in the first place. So that's a real big thing, even without the gold. You know what I'm saying? Just by walking around, the only reason why any of this is here is because we're perceiving it in the first place. So we definitely can get compensated for that. And not to go into a different direction, but just to stay on track with your question about commerce in general. You also have the option, if you want, you can go ahead and lien the bank in your area. Go ahead and lien the bank, do the court actions, and do all your affidavits in the right order. And you could, if you want, you could think about setting up a meeting with someone at the bank and showing them your title to the bank and showing them that you are the bank with your lawful proclamations, and they go ahead and open up an account for you that way. Just a suggestion, because that's something I think I'm going to go ahead and do in the next coming weeks.
Beautifully stated. That's thinking to free yourself, okay? The prophet said, if I can just get you to think, you'll free yourself. We are the value. We are the gold and the silver and all of that. Why do you think that they couldn't bump us off, all of us? They can't, because we're the value. We are the estate. That's why they couldn't bump us all off and claim the estate for themselves, because we're it. We're it. Okay? So keep that in mind as you do your demonstration. Keep that in mind. Because when the heirs speak, like we've done, the whole economy comes to a halt, and it starts back up again in the favor of the Moors. Believe it or not, that has already happened, just so you know. We passed that 90-day mark. It's already done. It's a wrap. That's why when Empress Van Doria was taken, they said, this must be a sovereign thing. Oh, we didn't know. We're sorry. Oops. We made a mistake. Okay?
Islam.
We're it. That's it right there. And as long as we remain peaceful, it's going to continue to be in the favor of the Moors. And we're going to remain peaceful. Period. No, we have not declared war on anyone. We don't have to. We've declared just the opposite. Peace. 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 With regard to the possession of property, peace. Make sure that you have terminated all corporate contracts. Okay? Make sure that you've terminated all corporate contracts, and I'm going to just mute a couple of lines that are coming up on the meter. Make sure that you've terminated all corporate contracts. Also make sure that you study that process and always demonstrate at the level of your overstanding. And know this, once you give the command, you don't have to worry about anything else. Now, I will say this about that whole possession of property piece, because we're there now, we're ready to do that part. The quote-unquote market of domiciles out there is overly saturated, waiting for the heirs to start claiming the property. There are more properties that are empty, waiting for the heirs, than there are properties that are occupied or domiciles that we live in. Many, many, many more. So just as a suggestion, because you can't tell the heirs what to do, I would suggest that you pick a property that is not occupied, and there are some huge, gigantic, beautiful ones that are that don't have anyone in them. They're already fully furnished and everything. You don't even have to worry about that. They're waiting for the heirs to proclaim the property. Choose those and then put everything on the public record. Notify everyone, okay? And then when the ancestors give you the go-ahead, then go ahead and do the demonstration with the property, okay? Go ahead and do the demonstration with the property. Islam, someone was going to say something.
Islam. Yes, Islam.
Yes, Islam.
I just want to say about the war energy that we all are forced to get in a situation where we have to fight back. We want to fight back. But if you know what's going on, and if you are in line with the ancestors, you know you don't have to fight back right then. You can just stand your ground because they know who you are, and let the ancestors listen to the ancestors, and you will have your property back. You will not go to jail. I could have been in jail plenty of times, mouthing off, but I listened to the ancestors. Ancestors, be quiet because they are ignorant. They do not know what they are doing, but we know what we are doing. Just hold tight.
Yes.
And you see what's going on. They are moving out, and we are moving in. So you don't have to go to jail. And you don't have to get killed. You don't have to get beat up. Listen to the ancestors. And I thank the Most High for Empress Light, for her inspiration, for being here week after week, day after day, and leading us, because I know she's led me. And I want to say Islam.
Islam. You can't lead the sovereigns because they lead themselves, but I honor the energy that you send that with. I honor that. We lead processes, but all Moors lead processes, so we're not doing anything that any of the other Moors are not doing. We honor your what you said there, brother. Listen, we don't, when it's time to move into the properties, because it's time now, we're not going to have to fight anybody. We're not going to have to go back and forth, none of that, okay? The ancestors have set it up now where when we make our claim and we do it in a peaceful manner and we notify everyone properly, we're not going to have any resistance. There will be no resistance, okay? There will be no resistance. It's all, you can look at the way things are set up right now, and you know that they are moving out and we're moving in. And it's going to be a peaceful transition back to the heirs. It's peaceful. It's going to be peaceful. It's going to stay there. We just needed to get to a point of competence and standing and unity, and we are there. I know some would have it, you know, to some it may look like we're not unified, but we are. We are absolutely unified. Look at us. We know we're not black. That's unity. Let's start there. We know we're not black. That's unity. Go ahead, Justice. Islam.
And I was just gonna say too, there was a noble on the call maybe a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about how to draw a check out on the U.S. Treasury, which is another option that we have. And if anybody wants to like study that a little bit more, because that's what I'm studying right now. Of course, it's all done by the competent, sovereign, universal affidavit. I think it's always going to start with that. So that's also another option for us too in terms of commerce for right now. And yeah, if anybody wants to study that, just let me know, say something in the chat, and we can maybe schedule another study session for that. Islam.
And when you get the process, you can present it on a Thursday, on the Thursday call.
Islam. Apollo.
Islam.
Apollo?
Islam.
Is that Apollo's email? Apollo.
Yes, you can put it in the chat.
Email. Is that an active email?
Hold on. Justice Apollo, could you state your email address? Go ahead and state your email address.
It's in the chat, but it's Apollo, APOLLO, LaFrance, LAFRANCE at Gmail.
Islam. So again, anyone wanting to, anyone who comes up with processes and then you do the process and you see that the process works, bring it on the Thursday call and we'll discuss the process and talk about it. Because that's really what this call is meant to be, is to talk about the processes that we're doing and what's working and what we need to tweak and change and add to and fix and all of that as we stand and navigate the estate. Okay.
Islam, I had wanted to say one more thing, just one more thing. Just
sure.
Because of something I've been thinking about. When we send out our affidavits, what we're actually doing, because of course we know we're making an affirmed statement of facts before the law under the penalties of perjury. But if we're saying that we're the heirs to the land, if we're saying that we're the heirs to the land, and that we have the authority to give out, the sovereign commands and everything, that means like in our Article 3 courts, and I'm not sure if it's exactly like Article 3, but I know it comes from Article 3. So if anything we rule in the Article 3 court, all of the other courts on the land, whether they be corporate courts or not, I think like they carry that decision as well. It's just like when the Supreme Court makes a decision, all the other courts have to uphold and honor that. We're obviously the real Supreme Court, so you can establish something where you go ahead and lean all the courts in your area and make sure they know that when you make a court action, they have to go ahead and follow through with that court action as well and use whatever resources they have to, put justice in place. So those are the two things that I have coming up, is doing that and also working with the Treasury, taking checks out on Treasury, et cetera.
One thing I can say, we can add that as a step to our processes as well in terms of notification. I would suggest, and just based on what you're saying, there, Justice, hold on for just a moment. Let me find out where the noise is coming from. Okay. we can add that as a step in our processes in terms of notifying those fake venues that this is a ruling that has been made with regard to the possession of property, and that they are to not have anything to do with it. Because see, the thing is, we don't need them in any of our processes because we got it. So we're basically just telling them you have nothing to do with this ruling, basically. Okay, and that's how we just put them on notice that this ruling has been made. Period. And that it is the law. Period. Okay. That is how that's how we do on our land. Okay. So, are there any other comments or questions with regard to that whole possession of? And does anyone have any other experiences that they want to share that they've been through recently, or that they have any questions about? Or any demonstrations that you've done that have worked for you, and you want to share that as well. Islam, go ahead.
Yes,
just describe it.
I'm Russell L. Cleveland. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, okay. I'm a pipe fitter. Well, I was a pipe fitter. Local 120, worked with the union, and I sent them an affidavit off of notice. I also sent them my international document. And
speak up just a little bit, Justice. Speak up, because we can barely hear.
Let me take these earbuds out.
Are you there, Justice?
This is Southeast reeturned.
Is he there? Are you there?
Hello?
Okay, that might be him.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Well, I didn't get a response from him, and I really have a couple things, but I didn't get a response from him. But all I got was a text saying that because I got a letter. I've been laid off since January, and I got a letter. A text, stating that he wanted to talk to me about the affidavit and all that before he went and seen the board or whoever it was he had to go talk to. And my thing was, like, I'm standing on my square by not speaking, period. I'm speaking with my affidavits.
That's right.
Yes.
Simply.
That's appropriate.
Okay. And another thing was about the adverse claim. Pardon me?
I said from my perspective, that's appropriate. Your affidavit should do the talking, because anytime you send an affidavit and they act like they want to talk to you so badly, the only reason they want to talk to you so badly is to regain jurisdiction. When you send them something, then that's it. They have to do it. They know they have to do it. And to avoid doing it, they will try and contact you so that you can start answering a bunch of questions, because that's the first thing they're going to do, is start asking a bunch of questions. And just by answering the questions, you're ceding your sovereign jurisdiction. Not really,
right.
but they take it as that, and they start doing things. They run with it. And we don't want to do that. Because jurisdiction can't be, our jurisdiction stays the same regardless. Even in our sleep, we were still sovereign. But we don't want to, we want to be competent in knowing that we don't have to speak to them on the phone when we send an affidavit. They are to do what you tell them, period. And when it's competent, they will do it. Mm-hmm.
That's been my stance. I was also told about the adverse claim. Well, I learned about the adverse claim from watching a video and it's something that is automatically activated if they ever try to foreclose on a home. And that's the opportunity for us as heirs to challenge their jurisdiction and, you know, whether or not they have those titles, which we know they don't. But it's something called an adverse claim.
Correct. I don't even challenge jurisdiction anymore. I just tell them they don't have it because we're the court. We're the court. We you know, when we have a sovereign court already has jurisdiction from out the gate. Period. We don't even have to ask. We already know we have it.
Islam.
Period. And we proceed in that manner. So, have you done a court action on any of those processes that you're doing? Because the court actions, you need to have a ruling on the public record when you're doing your demonstrations, heirs. It needs to come from a higher court than their fake court. It has to come from a higher court, and we're the highest court on the land.
Islam. I was listening to a court.
Go ahead, Justice.
Just really quick, I was listening to a court action earlier today, and, you know, one of the Albanians was there interrupting. So, guys, before you do your court actions, please make sure that you know how to mute the people that's in there, because we can't have people interrupting the court action at all. So everybody needs to make sure you know how to go in there, because I think the issue was the judges just didn't know how to mute. Like, please make sure you know how to do that. And if you need to, go ahead and just lock the meeting until you're done. Because we don't need that in the background while we're governing. I didn't like that.
Yes, know how to mute, know how to boot them out, and know how to lock the meeting. Court actions can be locked. You know, we can boot people out and lock the meeting, you know, when they're disruptive. If they're not disruptive, they can stay, but if they're disruptive, they have to go, you know. And we're the heirs, and we already know that we knew there was going to be some resistance as we stood up. But we know how to handle it peacefully. We know how to handle it peacefully. We don't have to go back and forth with those that interrupt and disrupt meetings. We just put them out, and you know, we love them, but we'll put them out in a heartbeat. So know that before you do your court actions, how to do that, and you won't have any issues. And know how to lock the meeting so that they can't come back in. Okay. But yes, with the possession of property piece, you must do a court action on everyone involved, including the tax assessor, the one doing business as tax assessor, because we are the tax people. In all lowercase letters, we're the government. Okay, we're the only ones with the authority to tax anybody. Okay, so make sure that you do court actions as a part of each and all demonstrations that you do. You need to have a sovereign court action on the public record for every demonstration in terms of property and things like that. Okay.
Islam.
And that way, they're fake courts, and you can send your court actions to the fake sheriff, the one doing business as sheriff and doing business as this and that and the third. Go ahead, Empress.
This is Rebecca in Tennessee. In response to the person that was asking about the adverse claim, Grand Chief Taj Tariq told us that our judicial notice, if you study it, you will find that it is an adverse claim. So I suggest reading that and understanding what it's actually saying so that he can know that he already does have an adverse claim if he has not done his judicial notice and proclamation. I yield.
Islam. Yes. She was saying, she was saying that Grand Sheikh Taj Tariq Bey has videos on adverse claims out there. Please go watch them. All of his videos, before you do your processes, make sure you watch his videos on those processes. Even consular court videos and all of that, watch all of those videos on the processes so that you have a great understanding of why we do what we do and how we do it, etc. And then take what you know from that and marry it with whatever the ancestors give you in terms of demonstrations, in terms of the demonstrations where property is concerned. It is time, and I would suggest that each and all of us, even if you don't need a property, I would suggest that we all do a property demonstration where we send out notification, etc., do the court actions and move forward that way. Okay? Make sure, I would suggest also that you make sure that you have the governor affidavit, which is the Bey. We know Bey and governor is the same thing, okay? And there are no governors but the Beys, okay? So go ahead, Justice.
And just to add on to that, if you don't need a domicile, then go ahead and try to repossess something that's in your city, like not a government building, but a building that could be used for our government. Because here in the Atlanta territory, for anybody who's ever been or who lives here, who's visited, the Fox Theater right downtown is actually a mosque. If you walk around the block and look at the architecture, it's a mosque. So we're going to be leaning that leaning it and repossessing it pretty soon. In a lot of our neighborhoods, we have, there's a lot of churches in our neighborhoods and a lot of the places where our people live. And every now and again, you might find one that's abandoned or even maybe a mosque that's abandoned, an Eastern building that's dedicated to like Eastern spirituality. Go ahead and try to lean some of those because I think that'll just help. That's just gonna help. It's just gonna help us grow even more. So, Islam.
It's time. It's time. It's time for that property piece to manifest. So go ahead. That's awesome. Thank you, Justice Apollo. Much appreciated. Yep. It's time for us to move in that direction now. We stand. We're competent. We know how to do it.
People in jail.
And make sure that, and we know that it's, the estate belongs to the heirs anyway. Okay, so it's definitely time for that. Okay.
Islam.
Empress, go ahead, Justice. Yes, go ahead.
No, I think that was the Albanian who just said Islam. I think he slid.
Somebody.
Yeah, he that's the same one who gets paid to show up at our meetings and disrupt. So we just do what I just did and put him on. I usually put him on hold because he can't get himself off hold, so he will hang up and call back. And we love him. He can. But he can move on. He might as well move on. Because we cannot, we're not going to stop doing what we're doing. And as he can see, nothing has changed. We keep moving forward. So, yeah. So learn how to do that, heirs, with regard to your court action as well.
Islam.
Islam.
The Avion that keep interrupting. I'd like to ask you a question.
Oh, he's not on here. I put him off.
Okay.
You put me off?
Well, anyway,
Yeah.
I'm getting tired of them talking about they are European American or Italian American. How in the world they can have two mothers? Mothers determine the nation. So how you was born from two women? That's a good question to ask. Islam.
That actually makes sense. What is an Italian American or or whatever. We don't. That's
Amazon.
If your profit was 5, you wouldn't be agreeing with any of the stuff that you do.
Yeah, that's some.
Shut up, Wendell. Shut up.
What you call it?
Please don't give him any energy. Please don't give him any energy, y'all. Okay.
Yeah.
Your profit would be upset for what you all are doing. Have you ever read your bylaws?
They want to tell your swiners to stop doing what we are doing.
We don't have to. We do not have to even listen to what he's saying.
And
that's why I try not to.
If you don't listen,
even
mention him, you're going to end up in jail. I'm sorry. Just look at Sharon Tracy Gale. There's just this other one that just.
Quiet. Learn how to do that more. Do that and then lock the meeting so he can't get back in. All right. We are just about done. Yes, Islam. Go ahead.
Penalty.
You're fading in and out. We cannot really hear you. There's some communication issues. We can barely hear you. He's saying something. He's saying something, but I can't hear him. Yeah, we can't hear you.
Yeah, it's going in and out.
Yeah. He's fading in and out.
I want to know, can I kill two birds with one stone, killing the corporate contract? One is general and the other specific. The specific one is Exhibit A through Z of all this red of acting as an artificial entity by plan insertion. I'm surrounded outside and out, helicopter circling my house, domicile.
Okay, you were fading in and out the whole time, so I did not understand what you were saying. It sounds like you were saying something about contracts. All contracts must be terminated, not just some. And that's actually something that the Moors do sometimes. They'll terminate some of the contracts and not all. It is suggested that all contracts be terminated, all of them. Okay, and the reason being is we think, we've been programmed to think previously. Now we know better, but we've been programmed to think that if we terminate the contract for, let's say, the fake venue, but we keep the contract called a driver's license, that we are still going to be, that everything is going to be gravy. But when you look in their system, if in their system they see even one contract, that in their mind gives them the what they need to violate. Okay, so you have to terminate all corporate contracts, and then anything that you're using, such as Social Security or VA or whatever you use, it then becomes a resource on your land, so you can use it. Okay, you can use it. You're the creditor anyway, so they're not doing you any favors by giving you that, whatever it is that you get. And in fact, we really didn't even need them in the process because it's ours anyway. Go ahead, Justice Gilmore.
If I can make a comment about all terminating the contracts and things, yes, because people keep fearing that if they terminate the contract that they're actually terminating their ability to do things. Well, that's not true. I've terminated all contracts, and I still get my retirement income, which they call Social Security, but I worked for 40 years and they took almost 300,000 notes from me, and so they're paying me back. And but I terminated all the contracts that they had with me that were unlawful contracts. So once you terminate the corporate contracts, you still have all the stuff, because remember, the corporate stuff is only a veneer over it to hide what is under that. Just like the Sister-QV Trust is a veneer over our worldwide trust. You know, all of these things are just veneers. So when you terminate, you're saying, hey, corporate cover be removed. I am here now. Islam.
Yes. 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 You're standing as the creditor and saying, I know I'm the creditor. You're not doing me any favors by giving me whatever is given. They're not doing us any favors. That's us. We're the creditor. The only reason that they were even able to eat was because of us, the creditors. That's why they kept needing signatures and autographs every 5 minutes by everything. That is consent. But we don't have to do that anymore. Now we just speak by affidavit and give the command, and then we tell them that we're not the debtor, we're the creditor, and anything that's given is given in that manner. And what we're doing when we do that, heirs, is we are preparing to do all of the other things that we're about to do, which is like claiming property, etc. Okay, you have to protect what you have, and by protect, that just simply means to put your sovereign stamp and seal over all that belongs to you, and shore up, stop all of the violations where all of that is concerned. That's what the court actions do. And that's what the putting everything together does, is it stops them from violating what you currently have so that you can pull in other things and properties and not have to worry about being violated at the property that is allodially titled. That's what all of this is right now, is the heirs stepping up and protecting what they currently have, even if this is just you, because that's actually the most valuable, is you. And invoking jurisdiction where you are concerned, okay? And that's what standing on your square is all about, really, is once you invoke jurisdiction, even in those situations where you've been detained, etc., staying on your square, thank you. Then when it comes time to claim the properties and things, you won't have to worry about policy enforcers showing up trying to take things
Islam
and talking about this doesn't belong to you, etc. Yes, go ahead, Justice.
In the chat, Ans L asks, how is it we're operating with fiat as sovereigns, though? Which is a good question.
Yes, okay. Go ahead.
Well, to open up, just saying, like, okay, we've already put on the public record that we've activated the gold standard on our land. So in terms of using fiat, that takes us out of any obligations we may come across in terms of using the fiat, because we've already actually shown that we're competent enough to govern and put the lawful currency on the public record. That is sufficient in terms of, you know, securing the fact that you're not a debtor and you're not a corporate citizen who even needs to use that in the first place.
Islam. Absolutely.
So basically,
the Federal Reserve Act of 1913.
Islam?
I'm sorry,
So
go ahead.
basically, in doing so, we're securing the actual fiat based on or putting the gold standard back on the record?
We're actually securing the estate and saying that we can use fiat or not. It doesn't make us a Federal Reserve agent, because that's what the 1913 Federal Reserve Act said, that if you that fiat or Federal Reserve debt notes are for Federal Reserve agents. Okay, that's really what it said. And what we're doing, we terminated that part. So now we can use, again, now everything that's on our land is resources and credits to the heirs. Everything that's being used right now is resources and credits. Okay? Everything is resources and credits.
Islam?
To the heirs, including the Federal Reserve notes. Those are resources and credits to the heirs, period. And if you'll notice, we're actually moving in the direction of not using it at all. Notice that in this whole thing. We're moving in the direction of not using fiat at all. Okay? But right now it's because we have changed the system at its core, at its foundation, and unveiled and removed the corporate covering off of all of the resources that are on the land. Okay? That's called nationalizing the resources. That's what we have done. The heirs have done that. By standing, everything is secure. Everything is secure, and it's secure in its allodial status and not in a corporate status. Okay? And that's what the prophet meant when he said that. Yes, go ahead, Justice. Go ahead.
This is Louis Andre Ruff from the Bay, New Jersey Territory. I'm in a situation right now. My mother passed last Friday. I'm the beneficiary, and the insurance company sent me papers. I read the papers, and it says, your name, print in all capital letters. They asked me for my social security number, and on one of the lines it says country of citizenship. Bottom line, I would like to know how I'm supposed to fill this out.
By affidavit.
Islam, by affidavit. By affidavit. And you
on government letterhead.
Correct.
Go ahead, Justice. Go ahead, Justice Apollo. Tell them how to do that.
So you that's, first of all, that's paper terrorism, number one. Second of all, you can reply by an affidavit where you go ahead and you correct all the terms and words that they use in that document to take away your, identity, your pedigree. And then if they don't respond to your affidavit, and that's one thing I wanted to say earlier too, is like when they not responding to our affidavits, that's actually good for us. That's good for us. The silence is acquiescence. We just have to continue to do some study to see how we can go ahead and fully take advantage of that, because if they don't respond to your affidavit is essentially truth and commerce. So start there. I would say, of course, to just start there with the affidavit.
Teach.
May I interject? This is Justice Anaya. Because I've done this with a lot of insurance people, debt collectors, and like everyone else saying, that to do it within an affidavit. But within that affidavit, what you're doing is reversing the role. What you're going to do is demand for them to show proof that they have a contract with you, and also demand that they show that their insurance bond, their delegation of authority, the correct name, and for them to show a contract that they have with you. Sign it, send it back, and then of course you do a default when they don't reply, and the majority of the time they don't reply. They don't get back with you because they cannot answer the affidavit because they don't have a contract with you. I yield.
Islam.
Go ahead, Justice Yearmore.
Islam.
Thank you, Justice Anaya.
About the Islam.
Yes, go ahead, Judge.
Go ahead, Jermore.
I wanted to follow up with what Justice Janaya said. The affidavit, as one should know, is if you're writing an affidavit, the points that are in that affidavit that need to be made must be numbered. And each one must have a time certain when they're supposed to be answered. And if they're not, that's when immediately after that, that is when either the default judgment or the time to work out something starts. If they have written something, one. If they haven't, then because the affidavit must be answered point for point, so the points must be numbered. Either A, B, C, D, E, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. Those are what will get you to that next move, which is automatic because it's already written in at the beginning. You don't have to search for anything at that point because your affidavit, the points are supposed to be the remedies that you are telling them they must provide. And they can't. So they'll default.
Wow.
And then you go get your stuff. That's how courts are supposed to work. Not the way they've been working it. Islam.
I love it. I love it.
Islam. I've never used numbers, but, Jermore, we all have our own different processes, but the point is just to do an affidavit with the right information, and it will work with your spirit of knowing who you are that shows in your affidavit, So don't be concerned whether you're doing it right or wrong. Just know that you're doing it right, and it works. I yield.
Islam. It is not whether it's right or wrong. All I'm doing is taking the points from studying Bouvier, studying Black's Law, taking the 108, then studying what our people do by common sense. And the common sense way is whatever we state in our affidavits, whatever we state is our judgment right there. The reason it's numbered is because each one of those must be answered, and any one that isn't, any of the numbered sequences that isn't answered, and it says it, do the 108s to see how an affidavit is supposed to be structured lawfully, not legally, lawfully. And if we do this, we're going to find that, we can do it any kind of way, and it's not necessarily wrong, but the best way is the way that will work with you having to put the minimal amount of action into it afterwards because it's self-enacting.
Yeah.
Islam.
Thank you.
Beautifully.
And I am going to shut up. I'm going to eat now.
I wanted to say one more thing. Not to add to what Jermore said, because he expressed his method very well. I like we put affidavits out there like templates, for others to go by. But I don't think we have one for debt collectors and these people that are trying to get fiat. So someone, should put one out there. I'm not going to say me because I don't want to.
I was about to say, do you have one, Empress? You know me. Anyone make suggestions, I'm like, yep, you can do that.
Well, let me say the reason why I don't want to suggest, because I would put my method out there, and so other people have different methods. Maybe it's something that we would have to vote on as far as what the template would look like. As far as whether we should create one with the numbers or just put one the way I do it. I don't create numbers, but I create sections, each section, and I refer them to each section. You know what I'm saying?
We don't have to vote on it. Just say this is the way I do mine, because you're going to assist somebody either way. You know, and that's for all more. Just say, you know, just say this is the way I do mine, so anybody who can use this format, use it. That's how we usually do things communally, you know.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. All right, Light. Stop. I see you over there, Light.
Oh, Jonaya, I love you.
Yeah, I love you too.
Islam.
Yes,
I know you do. Because I keep picking on you. Okay.
Well, Empress Jonaya.
Yes.
Empress Jonaya.
I love you too, dear Moore.
When may I have an audience by phone with you?
What?
When may I have an audience by phone with you?
What does he mean by that? What do you
In
mean
other
by
words,
that?
I want to call you and talk to you on the phone.
Well, you said an audience. I won't have an audience. You can call me.
No, an audience. I was being formal.
Yes, he was. You've been judicial.
Anytime. I stay up late. You can call me up until, say, 12 o'clock midnight at Pacific Standard Time.
Islam. Are there any other, listen, Morris, this call is also any Morris who have any processes that you want to give out to the nation in terms of, you know, what has worked for you. Bring them to this call and let's see them and talk about them, because that's what this is all about. It is. We're 2 hours in, so we'll go ahead and do a continuance on this call for Sunday, and then for those who are going to be on the call on next week on Thursday, we'll see you at that time. Peace and grand rising, Morris. Keep demonstrating. We got this already. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
It's wrong. Peace and love.
Grand rising.
Peace and love.
Grand rising.
Grand rising.
Grand rising.
Grand rising.
Islam.
Grand rising. Peace and love.
Grand
Peace and
rising.
love. Peace and love.
Grand rising.
Grand rising. Peace and love.
Islam. Light. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can hear
this is Empress Sade alias Satya El Bay from the Chicago, Illinois territory. And I'm calling in right now just to make sure that I'm clear and that whatever boards are clear about, we're talking about that fiat.